What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Really appreciate you guys hopping on for our live stream this week. It's got me, Michael, and Greg hold down the fort. Leighton's away today, but really excited to get to hang out with you guys, and I really appreciate y'all spending the time with us. It's just going to be, just like I said, just covering the topics from this past week and anything you guys want to discuss. I see Major Wolf says, "What's up?" So we're going to say what's up back to you. But yeah, Greg, Michael, how you doing?
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Doing better that I got power now. We lost power for about an hour and a half, had a major storm roll through, so I'm glad I could join us.
Nice. Ooh. Did your trees fall down or something like that?
No, we just lost everything in the neighborhood. So it was fun. I was driving it through hail coming home from work, so that was an added bonus, but just glad to be here.
Cool. Yeah, we it's been a pretty good week. Pretty nice weather here. It rained over the weekend, but that was not too bad. But yeah, guys, we're really excited about it. Getting to talk to you guys. And again, if you got any topics you want to discuss, definitely send them our way. But for those who haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, likes on Twitter. I know there's a big milestone for us. We're near 5,000 Twitter followers, so we really appreciate you guys being able to support us and all that. It's a really big deal for us. And it just for us, it's encouraging just knowing that there's a connection that we're having with the fans. And again, the whole motto is we're just NC State fans talking NC State stuff. So nothing to really impress with, but we're just really having a good time talking. And with that, I want to start off with basketball, guys. I know we've got a really good transfer class coming in. Everybody knows about Jack Clark, and everybody knows about Jarkel Joyner. I think last week we discussed about Dusan Mahorchik, the center that's coming, but now we got another addition. I think it's a 6'10", a former 4-star center, DJ Burns. Big guy, really, really big guy. I'm not talking just how tall he is, man. He's a big dude. What are you guys thoughts on him? You guys gotten to check out his highlights yet?
I did a little bit. I guess the first question I'm going to pose is this a changing of the philosophy from Kevin Keatts?
I think, it's something. I think you see it sometimes with NFL teams when they look at how they have to compete in their own divisions. Like if there's a team with really, stout quarterbacks, and you see the other teams, one, either trying to gear up on quarterbacks or, really improve the pass rush, or cornerbacks. If there's good wide receivers, you see other teams draft really good corners. I mean, look at the AFC West right now? Like, I think when the Chargers loaded up on, they got J.C. Jackson, now they've got Derwin James, and they're just really trying to keep up with the Russell Wilson, the Patrick Mahomes, the Derek Carrs, who just added Devontae. So I think with Keatts, you're probably seeing that. You're seeing some guys who, like, he has to go up against you guys like who I know he's not going to be there this year, but Mark Williams at Duke. And you've got Baycott coming back for Carolina.
Yep.
And, I mean, I kind of think that. I think they're also trying to make up what you're losing with Manny Bates, but it's a different type of post player. You're not going to have that defensive presence. You're having more of an offensive presence. But between both Mahorchik and Burns, I don't know what you guys think the same way. What are y'all's thoughts too?
Yeah, I think Keatts I think he wants. I don't think we'll see a total change in the offensive philosophy. I think he just wants options. Because look at what happened last year. We lost Manny Bates, and the two guys behind him weren't ready, really, to be full-time ACC carry that load. I think even though he brought in the two centers. I think DeWanna could still have a big impact if he takes a big step forward, like Manny Bates did in his sophomore year, and DeWanna still fits in that traditional center that Bates likes or that Keatts likes.
Right. I mean, it could be. I mean, it's a lot. You got a lot of really strong post players now. I mean, it is a little bit of a thing where you don't fully know what you have yet because you haven't seen them in ACC play, except for EB. But now you got DeWanna, you've got Mahorchik, you've got Burns, you've got
Ross.
Ross, and if you want to even go that far, you've got Gant. You don't even know what Gant looks like, and he's a 4 out. He's not like a post player kind of thing, but he's He's that kind of 4 position that you haven't seen yet. And Mahorchik, I think he had an interesting story, right? I think he formally committed to Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. And then what else was I going to say? Sorry. Burns committed to Tennessee and then transferred. I can't remember what school. What school was he coming out of? I forgot. Winthrop.
Yeah.
He was their conference player of the year. So I mean, I'm really excited about him. I think somebody mentioned it on Twitter, in his recruiting class coming out of South Carolina, there were only 2 players ranked ahead of him from South Carolina, and that was Zion Williamson and John Morant. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty
company.
I heard if someone could give an interesting analogy. Obviously, this, he's not an NBA player by any stretch of the imagination, but someone I saw compared him to almost like a Zach Randolph who played for the Memphis Grizzlies. And I could kind of see that. Big, thick dude. I mean, I think what's his weight? He's 6'10".
Burns?
Burns.
He's 6'9", 275.
275, yeah.
I think he was listed 275. I think right now in the interviews he's did after his commitment, he said he's down around 260, and looking to drop even more weight. So that's a positive thing too, because
away from Bojangles.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because I'm going to read over his stats because those who don't know, this guy is a post player. We mentioned he was the conference player of the year last year for Winthrop. Again, best player in that entire conference, just to reiterate that. He averaged 15 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 1.1 steals per game, and he was shooting over 62%. For a post player, that's really freaking good. So, my opinion, what do you guys think about what he should – well, I won't say my opinion first. What do you guys think he should do to improve, do you think? What do you think he's going to focus on coming into the ACC?
I mean, definitely dropping some more weight, because especially if he wants to be on the floor a lot, because like we said, Keats now has options at the 5 position. So if he wants to stay on the floor and get all those minutes, I think he's got to be in really good shape coming into the season.
The one thing I will say, looking at his stats, like I know you were making, his numbers have gotten better every year pretty much. I mean, he had a little dip from his freshman to sophomore year in points, but he played less games and less minutes. Mm-hmm. This past year, he averaged 20, almost 21 minutes a game, which is great. So obviously, to Michael's point, his stamina is pretty good. So I think that'll need to be, I don't think we're going to expect 21 minutes a game out of him, probably somewhere from, well, again, it depends on the options, right? If he becomes the guy, then obviously he'll get the minutes. But I don't see anything changing like minutes wise. If he's not there, he'll be plus or minus 2 or 3 minutes. So I think his workload will be about the same.
I agree. I mean, I think it was interesting too. If you look at the year, his progression, his stat line has only gotten better and better as he's played. 2019, 2020. Played 7. I mean, let me just go back to 2020 and 2021. There's no point in going back 3 years. But he basically played a little under 16 minutes a game 2 years ago and was shooting 58.2%. And now last year he got an extra 5 minutes and improved his his field goal percentage. And in fact, he got better at free throw shooting. I mean, he's a post player. I think he's going to have to improve his free throw shooting.
He's going to have to get better at that. Yeah, he's only 65%.
Right. But I like seeing that 1 assist per game from a post player. At least, I mean, sometimes you don't see posts even over 1 assist per game on average. So I would like to see that get better. He's averaging basically a block every 2 games. So that's pretty good. It's not It's not amazing, but 1 block every couple of games is pretty nice.
But that goes to your point making that he's not a defensive presence. I mean, like you said, so
one steal every 2 games. He's averaging 0.5 steals per game. And I think what's also really nice here, if you look at this, and it's probably because he's more of an offensive guy, he's averaging under 3 fouls a game, right at 3 fouls a game. So he's not fouling out of games very often, doesn't sound like. It's his average, but I don't know. I think it's really interesting.
The turnovers, probably would like to get that down to 1. Obviously, two's, we've had a problem with turning over the ball the last couple of years, so obviously we want to cut down on those. But 15 points a game, I'll take that. With our transfer, I'm going to butcher his name, so I'll say the transfer from Utah. That's about what he was averaging.
So I will say for the record, for everybody listening, it is pronounced Mahorchik.
Mahorchik. Okay.
Like think of like Luka Doncic. He has that CIC. So for the Dallas Mavericks, so it's like Mahorchik.
So if you're doing some kind of average between the two of them, we're looking at potentially 13 to 18 points a game from the center, and that's not what we've been averaging the last couple of years. So that's obviously these minus Mahorchik stepping up and he was a Power 5 player, but these other guys weren't in the Power 5, so we'll see how that translates. That's the biggest thing for me.
I think Jalen Gibson and EB combined for like 7 or 8 points a game last year.
Right. And if you think about it, that was the difference in some of these games, right? Just not having that inside presence. We were, most games we were within 10 points. So if you add an extra 10 points, there's your difference, right? So
yeah. I mean, it's tough when you just don't have an option to just dump it down to a guy in the post. It ended up just being a lot of jump shots from the outside when the offense breaks down, and if you're not hitting those at a reliable rate, which we weren't last year, then you get the season we had.
Right. The other thing too is the defense can rotate to your scorers, right? So they're not worried about your low post presence. So that obviously changes the dynamics too. And you have to have defenses play you more honest and upfront.
Yeah, that was the other thing on the the pick and rolls that the offense Keats bases his system off of. There was no reason really to worry about the roll from the big guys because they just weren't a threat to the scoring side. So
well, let me get the guys' opinion on this. So what do you guys say is our starting lineup right now?
Greg, you go first.
I mean, there's still.
Let's assume.
Thank you.
I see that Hunter made the comment. Man, if we just get Smith back, we might be straight next year. He also said we also get a good player in Ernest Ross coming back. He was coming off before injury, and I agree he was improving. But let's just assume Smith comes back, and let's also assume that Sebron's gone.
Yeah, I think that's the most likely scenario. If one's going to happen from the things, and we can touch on those two after we get done with this point. But I would definitely say Smith. What is it? Joyner, the kid from Mississippi,
point guard, the one.
Yep.
So Smith at the 2, right? Smith is the shooting guard.
Yeah.
Three.
You going Morcell? Maybe, I guess. Just because of the experience.
I would even argue you might could go Joyner, Morcell, Smith, and let Smith be the 3. I don't think it's a bad thing, but you could.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Morcell is on their best defender or their best offensive player because he's our best defender. So it'll just be
then the 4-5 is where it gets kind of crazy, right? So I think maybe you go Gant just because he's got the Power 5 experience. And I think maybe that's where we leaned at least to start because it's gonna be a revolving door probably those first 10 games, especially when you're playing out of conference and just trying to figure things out. But if you're just going from game 1, I think it's Gant, and then all right, say it again. Say Utah's kid name again. Mahorchik. I think that's going to be our starting center to start off.
Okay.
Just again, and I'm speaking just from Power 5 experience. They're more, granted, all these guys we got are 4th and 5th year guys. So, but I think you give the Power 5 guys the first opportunity, and then you just go play with it, figure out what's working, what's not. Obviously, foul trouble will dictate all of that. So, but I think that's my first attempt at it.
Okay.
Michael, what are your thoughts?
I think 5. Yeah. And like Greg said, it could be completely different 10 games into the season like it was last year. I mean, Cam Hayes got pushed out of the starting lineup. But, yeah, from game 1, I think it'll be Joyner, Smith if he comes back, Morcell. I don't know. I want to say I think Ross has the higher ceiling between him and Gant, but it'll just kind of be how he returns off the injury.
Both of them,
I'll go. Yeah, that's true. but I'll go Ross at the 4. I think he's going to take a big step forward next year too. And then at the 5, I think it'll be DJ Burns. I mean, just I don't know. From what I've seen, he's the best offensively out of the 3 of them, and I think he probably could have gone a lot of other places, and I don't think he would have came here if he wasn't thinking he was going to start.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting because my starting 5 is similar. And I think we may all have a little bit slightly different starting 5. I think it's going to be. I think our starting 3 are right there: Joyner, Morcell, and if Smith comes back, it's Smith. I think it's going to be Gant and Burns at the 4 and the 5, and here's why. DJ is going to be your best scoring post player, I believe.
I think you're right.
I think automatically coming in, he'll be your best scoring. So he gives you the offensive presence. He's a big dude, so he's going to be. You're going to have to. If you're going to drive in the paint, you're going to have to prepare for him. I think he needs to get coached up a little bit in that regard. But I think if he were to lose like 20 pounds of fat and turn that into muscle, I think that would be his ticket for sure to start. But the other reason why I think Gant is going to be the 4 is because he is more, I think, of a defensive guy. And so you're going to need that to counter the offensive mind your post. And I think Gant's going to be a pretty versatile kind of player.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it's going to be a little bit of a balance between those guys. Now, what I think is also interesting between what we've already said, none of us have EB starting.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because he's been here. Was it now his 3rd year?
Yeah. 3rd year in their system.
So, I mean, Ross, you have one. I think, is it Michael? You have Ross starting?
Yeah.
Did you have Ross starting, Greg?
I didn't. I had Gant for the same reason you had Gant.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. So your guys come in, you have transfers coming in that are going to, at least in the 5, going to take up the time. That'll be really interesting. There better be some good chemistry between those guys. And
that's a good point too, right? The chemistry will dictate a lot of this too. It'll all get worked out. And like I said, the first 10 games, that's where you're going to work. You get your game action. You can run these kids all day in practice until you get game action and see how they're going to perform. That changes everything.
Right. Well,
so
go ahead.
Do you guys? I think this is probably an easy answer, but assuming, well, I guess it's tough to say because it could dictate who comes back between Seaborn and Smith. But at today, do you feel better about next season than you did after the ACC tournament?
I definitely don't feel worse.
Yeah. I would say actually the answer is yes. I feel better.
Yeah, I do.
What I'm actually kind of curious to ask you guys about is what happens if Smith does not come back? Who fills his spot?
I don't know.
Jack Clark?
Well, I think that's where you look to the transfer portal and you're bringing someone else in at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They could really bring in another guy. I mean, they very likely will. I think I saw 24/7 Sports ranked our incoming class. I don't know if it's just transfer portal guys or
just
what.
Transfer portal.
Okay. It was like a top 20 group of kids coming in from the transfer portal. So that's a good thing for Keats there and his staff, which by the way, I am going to be very curious to see who is James Johnson's replacement. So everybody's different now. Have you all seen the talk about people wanting to have, Julius Hodge come back and coach? I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, every time there's a assistant coach vacancy, that's going to get thrown around.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I love Julius Hodge, but I just think when you see a lot of schools bring players back to coach, and majority of the time it does not go well. So he could be an outlier, but
I was going to say we did that with Levi Watkins, so we'll see how that plays out.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. But so, I think what you were saying is like Levi Watkins. I mean, he was an alumni, but like Julius Hodge was the guy. Like he's beloved by the fans.
ACC Player of the Year.
Yeah. And we saw the same thing kind of with Sidney Lowe, the point guard of the 83 team. So bringing him back, I don't know.
Real quick, can we just say a thank you prayer for the Julius Hodge curse on CP3? not winning another championship.
Oh
So,
man,
God,
that was an
that
embarrassment.
was so bad.
that's all I'm going to say about that. But you reap what you sow.
You
So
know, literally anytime something bad happens to Chris Paul, Julius Hodges always tweeting about it.
Yes,
So
Good. I would if that dude
yeah.
punched me in the gonads. I'd talk about him too.
Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there real quick.
But no, yeah, I was looking. That was a really interesting discussion today. I don't like whatever. I don't like watching the NBA stuff a whole lot. I do like watching the finals, kind of,
Yeah.
because that's when I feel like the guys go all out. But
Yeah.
I don't like Chris Paul.
No.
So, and I kind of a little bit think he's overrated, but that's also another talk for another discussion.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get to this because I saw you noted it. We'll switch gears slightly to football. Major Will saying, "How did I just learn about Riddick Stadium?"
So I can probably give
question?
a context about that though. Major, just a yes or no. Are you referring to NC State sailing auctioning off a copy of the Riddick Stadium paper model? And I think just for some context on that, NC State Sailing is trying to raise funds for their raising funds for their trip to nationals. And so one of the things that they're auctioning off, Coach Dana is auctioning off something that he made during the pandemic, I think, or he made a full-size scale replica of Riddick Stadium, which looks really cool.
Wow.
So if you're interested, at least go check out, give him a shout out for the awesome work that he did. And then if you got the means, give a bid on it. It's on eBay. I think it's got another day or two left. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Cool. Good plug there. Yeah, but that's so football. I don't know if there's any really news from this week. I know that we got emails about season tickets getting picked, so that was pretty fun.
Let's go. We got Jack Chambers. Maybe we talk about him for a second.
Oh,
Yeah. Jack Chambers. Duh. What am I thinking? Yeah, we were talking about transfer portal guy and transfer portals players. We were talking a few weeks ago about weaknesses on the team and coming out of the spring game, and there was some rumors. I won't say where, but I saw that there was like maybe an offensive guy State was looking at with 1 year of eligibility left, but we weren't really talking about it, and we weren't supposed to know just yet who it was. And I think we talked between us guys, at least, we're thinking, well, who could this be? We're thinking like it probably is like a running back or wide receiver
or offensive lineman,
or offensive line. Probably not receiver. Maybe it was running back, offensive line. But then we heard that it was Jack Chambers transferring out of, was it
Charleston Southern?
Yep. So
who's on our schedule this year?
I didn't even think about that either. Dang. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really interesting. Like he's going to come in with 1 year of eligibility left and play knowing he's going to be behind Leary and not start. That's really interesting. I'd wonder what the motivation is there.
Can I throw something out there?
Too.
Yeah.
As a walk-on.
Do we convert him to like a wide receiver or kick returner? Because he's an athlete.
I think we'll see him in a bunch of different positions.
Yeah, I think we're going to see him like, I don't want to even say goal line kind of thing. I feel like that's like a really easy thing, but like, cause I think Devin Leary is he's lethal. I don't think you want to take him out of those situations.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think there might be some situations where, let's say Devin Leary does get hurt. You at least now have Ben Finley and Jack Chambers there to help you out. Even if it's like he rolled his ankle for a game, he's out.
Yep.
You at least can compete now. And he's a guy who has a whole different set of skill set that Devin nor Ben have. So that's really valuable. And I think it's pretty awesome that you're not losing a scholarship either. So,
because we're still kind of, I think the last time I checked, I think we were still a couple over, and we're going to need a couple of people to transfer out. So,
like one or two guys.
It's not very many left. I know we had a few roll out.
I think there was an offensive lineman that there's like a NC State scholarship tracker Twitter account. I don't know if you guys follow that.
Yeah,
but he posted an update today saying that there was an offensive lineman that is no longer listed on the roster. So that's one more down.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that was a very nice pickup because he could be a kick returner. He could play like I could kind of see him being like a Jalen McClendon kind of type of quarterback.
Yeah.
Because Jalen didn't just chuck the ball down the field. He ended up having, which I think when he was coming out of high school, people thought Jalen McClendon, this 4-star quarterback, is going to be he could run and throw. It's going to be awesome. He became a reputation as be able to run the ball. And I think you're going to see Jack do that. I think you will see him come in on goal line stuff at times. So it's going to be I think that dynamic is a really interesting one. He could be kick returner. I don't know if he's got the speed. I don't know how fast he is, but
I don't know.
He didn't look slow. I will say that.
Yeah.
And then I guess maybe the other football news, if we want to take a couple minutes, is to discuss the potential 3-5-5 schedule that's being floated out there. That's looking more and more that it might become a reality.
See, and I don't even have a full context of that, so you might want to share that, even educate me.
Yeah. So a few years ago, the NCAA stipulated that you had to have divisions in order to play a championship game. So obviously we had the Atlantic and the Coastal, and then, the imbalance where the top 2 or 3 teams in the conference tend to be out of the Atlantic division. So Commissioner Phillips was looking at, trying to do away with that. And these teams could play like playing Duke, for instance, other than the pandemic year. We're not usually scheduled to play them for every 7 years. So in theory, there will be classes of athletes that won't even play their crosstown rival, essentially. So with that being said, they're floating out the potential of a 3-5-5, meaning you have 3 permanent opponents every year, kind of like your natural crossover that we're doing today, then adding 2 more, and then 5 and 5. And so you'd play the first 5 in year A and the next 5 in year B, and then you just keep alternating hopping on that schedule. So with that being said, who would you want to be our permanent 3? And you can look at good games. You could look at natural rivalries. Like where would you go with that?
Do you want to go, Michael?
Yeah, I've thought about this, and I think it's an easy answer.
I think I had a friend of mine text me this question like on Friday, but I didn't realize it was connected to this. So,
and I think it's easily UNC, Wake Forest, and Clemson.
I don't think Clemson.
I don't think we get anything out of playing Duke.
We don't.
Besides,
but it's a win. It's a win.
Yeah, besides like an easy.
But it doesn't help your strength of schedule for potential CFP.
Yeah, but there's some teams like look at what Cincinnati did. Cincinnati didn't hardly play anybody, and they got college football playoffs. So does it really matter? I mean,
beat Notre Dame.
Do non-conference games or whatever those kind of games really matter? I mean, at the end of the day, if you're 12-0, you're in the discussion. So
especially if you're a Power 5 12-0,
right? So and Cincinnati was not that. So.
Yeah, like you said, we don't get anything out of it besides an easy win. But I think, Clemson is a national brand, and every time we play them, that's going to get national attention, especially if we're as good as we have been last year and expect to be this year. It's going to be a big game. So, yeah.
For me, I wanted to – I feel like you got to say Carolina. I feel like you kind of have to say Wake, kind of.
You do. They played each other 125 years in a row.
I know. But here's my thing. I would, if the schools that I want to see us play, if I had a choice of who I want to see play every year, just for the sake of the excitement to be around the games, is Carolina, Clemson, and Virginia Tech. That's who I would love.
That's my 3. That's my 3.
I would love to see, because Virginia Tech, NC State, and Clemson are like the same schools. It's like the same type of people.
Yep.
The same type of degrees. I think with NC State and Clemson, the Textile Bowl is like nobody even freaking knows.
Most people don't even know what that is. Yeah.
If you played that every year and you made this a big deal, which we do play every year, but we emphasize it, and if State continues to project the way we're projecting, well, then you've got teams who are like right there at, on average, maybe on the average, I don't know if the average is at 10, but you're right there at 10-win teams battling it out for an ACC title spot. Maybe if you get little divisions, you're playing each other once and then you play each other again. If it truly is the 2 best teams, I would love to see the Textile Bowl become a thing. And I think it's not as exciting as some of these other trophies, but I think that would be great football. I think that would be great for the ACC. I know the ACC probably would love more to see Clemson and Florida State,
Yeah.
be a thing, which I'm sure that'll happen. But
then it becomes almost the kind of eating your own at that point, right? Because Florida State's been so good for so many. That's almost like an elimination game, if you will.
Yeah.
Every year. I'm with you though, Macon. I like Virginia Tech because they're a national brand still. I mean, they haven't been in the last couple of years.
People respect their name for football.
100% they do, and it's a good enough where I think we're on the same playing field, if you will. Pardon the pun.
I think they've come down from where they were, and we're ascending. And I would say at this point, I would even argue NC State's better right now.
I would agree.
Yeah,
and
right now,
but I think nationally, the brand of Virginia Tech holds some weight from football, and I think State is kind of like it's there. People don't hate on State, but it's like, but you're kind of like the Texas Techs or whatever. I think people kind of
more like Baylor. I think we're more like a Baylor.
Really? I don't know. I mean,
just because you have Carolina, like Carolina would be like Texas Tech or Texas. Like we're kind of like the third tier in most of all the sports in the triangle.
Maybe, yeah.
Just because of name recognition. That's all I'm saying.
I just don't. I think State's kind of viewed as like, this respectable football program that's not really all that big and hasn't really done much, which is true. But I don't know. I think it should be definitely Carolina. No one's debating that. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma State's a good example for where I think NC State is. That's a good point, Major Wolf. But if it ends up being Carolina, Wake, Duke, I mean, it makes sense, and that's Wake Forest. But I feel like that's just like a really like a chip shot kind of thing. It's like, okay,
it doesn't move.
That's not really exciting, and nobody's going to care. Nope. It's going to fit. I think it would fit into the narrative of NC State a little bit of like people say, oh yeah, they're just playing Wake and Duke and Carolina. I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. I think you need no disrespect, right? Well, obviously, when you say no disrespect, you're disrespecting him. But Carolina, Wake, and Duke just doesn't move the needle in football.
Yeah.
It just
nationally, at
least. Who's going to watch that game every year except the locals?
Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I think you need like a Clemson or Virginia Tech. You need one.
You need at least one of those. Yeah, that's what I think.
And I go ahead.
And in this model, that's just the teams you're playing every year. You still play the other teams every other year, so it's not like
if I played Duke every other year, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So and I want to make all three opponents somewhere where my fans can travel to easily. Like I don't want my third opponent being Boston College. I don't want that. I want somewhere where they can travel. So I'm going Clemson, Virginia Tech, Virginia, maybe Georgia Tech. But again, they don't really move the needle. But that's as far as I want to go.
Maybe Georgia Tech.
Oh, I agree. But I'm just talking about from a fan travel perspective. You'd want
like
one of those schools.
Now, let me ask you this: who would you see some of the other schools being? Like, if it's Carolina, Wake, NC State, Duke,
Virginia for sure. That's like a rivalry.
Virginia, okay. So then Wake would be NC State, Carolina, and Duke. Probably those three for Wake.
Yeah.
You got probably looking at something like Clemson's got to be Florida State, NC
or
State.
Miami or something like that.
See, Clemson. Honestly, if I'm going to bet what they're going to do, I bet they would do NC State is Carolina, Wake, and Clemson because Clemson's going to want a name every year they play, and right now it's NC State, Florida State, and Clemson, Miami. I mean, it would be something, but it's not like I don't think
it's not a true. I don't. Yeah, that Clemson Miami isn't like a traditional rivalry, but it's both national brands. I think Clemson will be it'll definitely be Florida State. I think it'll definitely be Miami.
Probably Georgia Tech.
And I think that third team could be either Georgia Tech or us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to get to the point where you're going to see basically all the ACC schools play each other, and then all the schools that we brought in from the Big East play each other. Because that's going to be essentially your division.
Yeah, Boston College's rivals are going to be Syracuse
and Pitt,
and
maybe Tech. I don't know.
I would think,
Again, because of the Big East ties.
I would.
The only thing I got.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, that would probably make some sense. I don't know. I think it's fun conversation. I see you guys talking about here, like Major Wolf, you guys, you've been commenting a lot here so far, but I see Mark Hidley has got Duke, Wake, Carolina. So he's on that vibe. Major Wolf said UNC, Wake, Clemson. If I haven't a bet, I think that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
UNC, Wake, Clemson. If they give us Duke every year, I think I'd be like, come on, you guys don't care about NC State at all. So
Yeah.
I think Coach Doran would not be happy with that.
every year,
think so.
every year. I mean, like his argument was that it's stupid that we don't play Duke once every 7 years. Okay, that's what his argument was. If we played them every other year, I think that's totally fine.
That would be fine. Yeah,
That would check the box for him.
Right. So, yeah, I just the idea of having to pick between Clemson or Virginia Tech, it's probably going to go to Clemson.
I think so.
And I will say this: if I had to play Virginia Tech every other year, I would be very happy with that because I just think that's a whole lot better than playing them once every 7 years, and it makes no sense that we don't play them, or heck, even Virginia. But I think particularly Virginia Tech because we're the same kind of school. But it actually called. I personally think they shouldn't do that kind of 3-5 fight every other year. And if they want to, it's easy. But I think it should just be totally random. I think it should just. But it's a little more planning involved, and it's just not as easy to schedule. So, but no, I want to get back to this too. Some of the other comments here. We've got Mark Hidley, I think, was commenting about how there's USA National Wrestling coming up, and that's a really big deal for some of the guys on the NC State's wrestling team. Camacho, obviously, Hidley, Machiavello, some of the guys who've been there. I honestly didn't even realize that. I bet you Leighton knew about it, though, because Leighton's all about that wrestling stuff.
Yeah, I've been following it, too. Yeah, it's going to be cool. They got some good seeds, so I know Mike has got a number 1 seed for his weight class, so that's good. And we got some mostly, I think Tommy Gant, got a 2 or 3 seed for his weight class. Trent got a 4 seed for his, and I think most of the other guys got 3s and 4 seeds. I think one guy got a 6, if I remember, when I looked at it the other day. So, and I believe the winners go, like whoever qualifies goes to the World Senior event. I think that's the tie-in for this preliminary thing. I might be wrong again. We definitely need Leighton for that part because I'm not totally well versed with the next.
Maybe Mark can update us here too.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, but that's exciting coming up for our guys.
Yeah, I think it's an honor to be able to do anything for your country. I know Greg served, and that's really awesome. But you get to play for your school, your country. Excuse me. I think that's something really cool that you can't. It's going to be its own special thing for these guys. So I hope they get in. I hope all of them get in. That'd be awesome. And then what else, guys? We got. I'm going to go to tennis.
That's the big news.
But for those who don't know, it's been on social media. NC State was one of only 8 schools, I think, that had both men and women's teams advance both to the Sweet 16 in the tennis, men's and women's. Unfortunately, the men's team lost in the Sweet 16, but that's the first time they've made it there since 2007, I think, is the year. And the women's team advanced. Now, the women's team is ranked higher nationally than the men's team. They were ranked number 2, I think, in the country. I think they still are. But the men's team lost to the number 1 seed TCU, which is number
nothing
1.
Nothing to sneeze at.
Actually, excuse me, I think they might have been ranked number 1. I think NC State are ranked number 20 for men's tennis.
Yeah.
So women's tennis defeated the Cal Berkeley.
Yes, 4-0 or 4-1.
4-0.
Yeah, 4-0.
Shutout. So they're going to be playing in the Elite 8, and I'll tell you guys, we obviously here at Tuffy Talk, we want to be able to emphasize not just football and basketball. Obviously, we talked the majority of our time so far about those things, but we want to be able to talk about some of these other non-revenue sports that are really they're all doing amazing. So. Mm-hmm. If you guys can, that's a really nice tennis facility over right across from Doak. I've honestly thought about going, taking my wife there to go watch tennis because I know she likes watching tennis. So, but do you guys know who the next matchup is?
Yeah, we play Illinois up in Illinois.
The Illini. Okay.
The Illini, yeah. I don't
So if
know
we're ranked
how they're
higher,
ranked.
how are they getting? Are they the one?
You probably put in bids or something like that, I would imagine. Oh, I know why.
No, we don't.
No, the all the final 8 is that's the national place for the tournament for the final.
Oh, it
8.
just happens to be there.
Yeah. That's
So we're
what it
gonna
is.
play Illinois. In Illinois, does that sound familiar? UConn and
thought
UConn
Maybe it's
women's
not
basketball.
Illinois. I know we're playing in
it's
Illinois,
yeah.
but I don't
Hold
know
on,
if we're
I
playing
got it
Illinois.
right here.
You pulled it up.
I
Someone
got
pulled
it.
up. I'm curious who we're gonna
Duke.
play.
We played Duke.
Really? We played Duke?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
lose
so-
it?
number 4.
Wow.
So out of the
Yeah.
top 8 teams that are still alive, 4 from the ACC.
Yeah.
So it's Carolina, UVA, us, and Duke.
Wow. So 3 of your top 8 teams are all from the Triangle women's tennis.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And guys, just think about that. Basketball used to be like that, and that was so awesome for us.
Yeah.
Dang it. All right.
We can get there. We'll get there.
Let's all just shed a tear just for the moment. But no, hey, guys, go out and support women's tennis. Well, if you can, you're not going to be there probably, but if there's a way to watch it, watch it. I want to try to.
Yeah, hopefully it gets better coverage. They stream their stuff on like a fourth party platform. It's not very good. Yeah,
No, it's worse than
no,
that.
it's I think it was like Flow something or I can't
Flow
remember.
Sports, yeah.
Flow Sports, yeah. But I'm hoping maybe now that we're in the advanced stage that it gets on at least ACC network or at least digital ESPN. What ESPN does to some of these non-revenue sports is atrocious. But
it's not great.
we
have an ACC network that should be
business to them. So
yeah,
it's just if you're going to put it up like you value sports, well then value sports. So
yep.
So anyways, that's the big deal with the tennis team. What else, guys? Anything?
We had track and field happen this past weekend.
Yeah.
We had two first place finishers on the women's side, and they finished 4th overall. So that was good. Caitlin Tui, I guess is her name.
Yeah,
She won.
so good.
Yeah,
like I've been writing the newsletter, so I've been keeping up with this every week.
Please go for it. You got better details than I do.
And she's like winning all the meets and stuff. She's set like college records.
I think she had the 7th fastest time ever. I think. In that event, like regardless, like professional, like the 7th best time in the world of all time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So the women finished 4th, and I think the men finished 8th or 9th. I think
it was 11th.
11th. Oh, even worse.
Not as good.
Yeah. I know they were 8th or 9th going into the last day, and I didn't see where they finished. But
by the way, Michael, plug those newsletters for us real quick.
Yeah. So our weekly newsletter kind of just gives you I think it's the best. I haven't seen any other place where you can get literally all the updates on every single athletic event for NC State in one place every week. You sign up with your email.
That's a great point. You don't see that anywhere. You see like little things you got to search for in different accounts.
Yeah,
this is
each individual team
thing.
Yep. That was the idea when I was talking to Leighton about doing it. I'm like, I don't think there's besides like if you go to goback.com, I guess, but even then you still got to go to the individual site, the team pages and stuff. So this is all just in one email. Every Monday morning it recaps the last week events and previews upcoming weeks. Sign up. You can sign up for free, and you get the first week free, and then it's only $5 a month after that. So it's less than $1 an email.
So let's break this down. That's one less latte you get to have. That's it
for a whole month.
For a whole month too. That's not even.
And then you don't like social. Here's the thing: if you don't like social media, this is for you.
Yeah.
People don't like social media. Obviously, you're looking at YouTube or something watching us now. But if you want to reduce that, then all you could do is just check one email and you get all your updates.
Yep.
So, but yeah,
one-stop shop.
How can people subscribe to that, Michael?
So it's tuffytalk.substack.com. The link is, we tweeted it out. It's in our link tree in the bio of all of our accounts, so you can find it there.
including here on YouTube. I believe it's on there as well.
Cool. Yep. So again, tuffytalk.substack.com.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, yeah, guys, that's cool there too. I'm going to go back to we had a list of topics we want to talk about tonight too. And I want to go back, kind of jump around here. Now we've touched on a few of them. Baseball. What are you guys' thoughts on where we're at now?
Well, we missed an opportunity yesterday. Had we won yesterday, we had a chance to host a pod. That's pretty much done now. But still, good weekend. Took 2
We
or
clinched.
3.
We clinched,
the spot in the tournament.
Yep. So what seed does that make us? What's like the best case?
Fifth. Best case is like fifth. Probably we're probably
winning out.
Winning out and getting some help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Had we won yesterday, like I said, we had won yesterday. We still had an outside chance to sneak into fourth, which would have been a host of a pod. And that's real important because for folks that don't know, you basically, if you're not the 1 seed in your pod, you have to win every game and hope the other team loses. The top seed loses more than 1 game. So it makes it really difficult to get out of your pod.
Right.
That's just the way the format is for that tournament. So a top 4 would have been really great. But hey, if we catch lightning in a bottle again like we did last year, anything's possible. We have Wake coming up this week. It's a weird series, so if people aren't tracking, it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with the ACC tournament starting next week. So they moved everything up a day to give everyone fair opportunity to get all their guys rested.
Nice.
But 2 out of 3, and we basically went 2-2 last week because we lost to UNCW in a track meet because the wind was blowing out and home runs were going out of the park at record pace.
It was like 13-11, I think that game was.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, that's the update there in baseball. I saw that Geno Groover hit some good home runs against Duke. I'm thinking of the social media things I saw. Rob Brendamore was at the game.
Yep.
But speaking of hockey, I saw someone make a comment about "Let's go Bruins." I think that was a sarcasm kind of comment because they kicked their butt at the Carolina Hurricanes did. So next series is going to be with the Rangers. Have you guys looked at the ticket prices? I want to take Lindsay because she's never been. It's like you can get a nosebleed for like $80, $70.
That's not terrible.
Yeah.
Wait till the day of the game.
I want her to get right down in it and for her to experience it, but that's like $150, $775. So
still so much cheaper than coming to a game in Washington. Believe me.
Right.
Like,
I'm sure
Washington, you don't even get in the upper deck for less than $200. So everyone thinks we got money up here, but no. So
I made a comment here. Was Kane and Silver hurt? Do you guys got any info on that? You guys?
That was weird. By the way, Kane and Silver has the greatest nickname ever. I learned some of the kids' nicknames when I was there last week and hanging out with some of the folks. His nickname is Rado, like Silverado. That's like his nickname.
I did see that. I was wondering why.
It's a great nickname.
Rado, that is cool.
And then someone mentioned Garrett Payne. His nickname is the Slim Reaper. I love that one too.
Yeah.
Because he's so tall and skinny. So shout out to the Slim Reaper. But no, I don't know. It was weird. I didn't understand why we pulled Kanan yesterday so soon. He was pitching really well. Got into a little bit of a jam. His pitch count was still okay. Didn't make sense, and unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for us because the bullpen didn't kind of hold up their end of the bargain yesterday.
And there's that. I'm kidding. Yeah, but hey, at least we're in the tournament.
All right.
Because not everybody gets in. So
that's correct.
That's really great.
We knocked Duke out. Yeah, we knocked Duke out.
That kind of is a little bit of like a nice little, I won't say payback, but it's nice from last year them doing this wrong. So, last thing one of the last things I want to bring up. Saw this discussion. It's not about NC State things, more ACC thing. I think Greg, you sent this.
Yeah.
That Paul Feinbaum had a headline, or somebody had a headline about Paul Feinbaum, which, by the way, I can't stand Paul Feinbaum.
Tell us how you really feel.
I don't think many people can. I think he thinks he's too cool for school. But kind of like Dr. Anthony Fauci. But anyways.
Wow. This thing just took a
I'm kidding.
How about that Pac-9?
But no, he goes, the headline read, Paul Feinbaum blasts ACC as a diminished conference, questions leadership of Jim Phillips. I'm kind of like, what? Like, I'm thinking, Jim Phillips, like the same guy. He's only been here for like one season.
11 months. He's not even a full year yet. He's not even here a full year yet.
Yeah, I don't even know what to think about that. I think he's such a homer for the SEC that he can't see past his own like rose tinted glasses for the SEC. I get the ACC is not the SEC in football, but like it's not the worst thing in the world. It's pretty good football. It's definitely better basketball than ACC. And he's probably thinking, oh, well, the SEC now has taken over in basketball because not only do you have Kentucky, but you have Arkansas and you have whoever else is now good in SEC in basketball.
Alabama, kind of.
Alabama, kind of, yeah. Florida kind of dropped down. Georgia had Anthony Edwards play for them, whatever. So I think that's like a joke headline. I mean, he's
purely football. He's purely football. So his argument is, you know, and he's not wrong to a point where we as in the ACC was late to get on the ACC network train. You know, Swafford was kind of, you know, obviously Phillips's predecessor, was late to the table for football, because we know that, you know, up until about, I don't know, 5-7 years ago, basketball was king in the ACC. Then once Clemson started, you know, getting back to national relevance, that shifted. But by then, the profit gap between, you know, the ACC, the SEC, the Big Ten, it was just so large that you're probably never going to make it up because you're just late to the table.
Yeah,
and the SEC just like that. How much was their contract?
It was like
with ESPN,
300 million. Like it was,
it was an insane amount.
Insane. Yeah. And then they were complaining about their CBS contract. I'm like, dude, like I get it. Like the rich eats the rich. Like they're so mad about the CBS contract. I'm like, how much more money are you just going to squeeze from the turnip?
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah. But Commissioner Phillips has done a lot of good things in the 11 months that he's been there. He was, you know, people are on him about this alliance, you know, with the Pac-12 and the Big 12. And then I think the Big 10 is part of it too.
The Big 10, Pac-12, ACC.
Yeah. So, you know, so he's trying to pivot and come up with ideas to make, one, the ACC relevant, and two, to narrow that gap. So give the guy a break. He's been on the job 11 months.
Yeah.
I think if he wanted to really do something, to be honest with you, I think he needs to try to even bring some teams in. I think he's to make a move like the SEC did if he wants to be like, shut some of the critics up like this guy. Although if that happened, I could see Paul Feinbaum being like, yeah, but it's too little too late, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I mean,
right. There's always gonna be a negative spin.
Yeah. He's never going to give the ACC any credit or whatever. But I kind of thought the alliance thing is a joke because there's no contractual.
It's not binding. It's not binding.
Yeah. It's like, hey, we promise to not poach each other's players and whatever schools. Yeah. We do. So
it's crazy.
And we're going to play each other, but we're not going to really give you clear defining reason when that or what that's going to look like. So
but I think Commissioner Phillips is already, but I think he's going in the right direction, right? Because he's the first, we're going to be potentially the first conference to eliminate divisions in football. So you're truly going to get the two best teams instead of the number one team and maybe the number 3 or 4 team, because we know
I either argue it'll be a better structure than the SEC because there won't be no SEC East or SEC West. It'll be
the two best teams.
Like the SEC East is not as easy as the Coastal, but it's still pretty easy. I mean,
it's equivalent. Yeah,
I would say like the year, if there's a year that comes when it's the two best teams of the ACC playing, and let's say, because it's probably easier to make this argument, let's say it's a great Clemson team versus a great Florida State team, which has not happened for Florida State in a while. But let's just say like it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Yeah. And then they get down to it, and the same year there's a Alabama. Wow, there's a SEC matchup between Alabama and let's just say randomly Arkansas.
South Carolina.
Great. South Carolina does great. People are going to be like, come on, really? That's tournament. They're going to look at, I think it'll take a moment like that. Yeah. And I don't think it happened year one, but you're setting yourself up for success, I think, in that regard, because everybody thinks divisions are stupid anyways. So I think it's a good move. And then I also know he's trying to move the headquarters. And I don't know if you guys saw that for those who are watching, but it was essentially looking at either Charlotte or Orlando. Orlando sounds so weird. Orlando.
Yeah. Atlanta would have made more sense.
It was Charlotte or Orlando.
I've read something about that, why they were picking Orlando. I forget what the reason was. There was a specific
reason. Tourism.
No. Well, it's because there's a major ESPN location there.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So there's a major
Like a
ESPN
hub.
there's major because it's owned by Disney, right? So
Yeah.
so there's a major ESPN thing in Charlotte that I don't think people are aware about as
Yeah.
much. And there's one in Orlando. That's the main driving factor. It's to be right there attached to the ESPN networks. So
You can essentially go
makes
down the
sense.
hall and bounce things off of them.
yeah, personally, Orlando is such a stupid idea.
No,
It
I
needs
think
to
it'll be Charlotte. I think
It has to be Charlotte.
Yeah.
It just makes more sense from a geographical standpoint where it's more centralized.
Then
And then you
Still
still
a
have
big
the
enough
roots.
airport.
let me ask you this then. Does Greensboro become like a dead city then?
Yes.
I
Except
mean,
for once
look at
every
that. They were attorney town.
they'll come back. I
They'll
guarantee
come back every now and then.
every
to
5
keep
to 10
it sound
years.
good,
Yeah. Of some
Yeah.
kind of anniversary year, they'll come back.
But I mean, if there's no tournament there, there's no headquarters there.
It'll
what do they
impact it for
have? I mean, they have
sure,
UNCG. So
I don't know.
I think you're going to see, if you're Greensboro officials, I think you would want to make every incentive, which I don't think they can at this point, to make them want to stay. But
You make Jim Benheim happy.
yeah, I don't think he cares for Charlotte much either. But
Probably
he
not.
probably would like it better than Greensboro. But yeah, the whole comment by Paul Feynman was stupid. Jim Boeheim, Jim Phillips.
Sorry.
It's just fine. Yeah. What else we talk about, guys? Anything last minute things we can get in?
Men's golf is playing.
Men's golf.
Um,
Fred Damaris is leaving.
Yep.
So
yeah.
those who don't know, he's a major facilities, organizational structure kind of leader throughout the whole athletic department.
You've been there 8 years.
I think he was the main guy leading the construction and renovation of Reynolds, if I'm not mistaken.
I
think
know
he
He
was
was probably
up
heavily
there.
involved. Yeah, he was heavily involved.
I know he was heavily involved in both football and basketball. He would always posting updates on the game times and just whatever. I mean, he was a jack of all trades, if you ask me.
Yeah.
He
Did
was
so much.
really solid.
Brett McMurphy put a tweet out that was even recognizing him moving.
Yep.
He said a huge opportunity for Fred, but it's going to be a big loss for State. So I don't
think that's overstating it all.
Yeah, I mean it'll be big shoes to fill. I don't know if I don't think he would leave us like we're going to just drop the ball here and you guys are going to have no idea what to do. I think they're going to have somebody ready to go. It's just big shoes to fill. And then I think, guys, that's it for this week. Any closing notes?
So I mentioned it earlier about NC State sailing club sailing. They've been around over 70 years. We have a couple of vlogs that we put up over this past weekend. They're going to nationals down in New Orleans, I believe starting the 18th. But they could really use some donations, like I kind of mentioned earlier. The last time I checked, they were around $7,000 of their $12,000 goal. So if you've got the means, throw a couple ducats their way. Their handles are on our videos, and also you can catch them at I think it's NC State Sailing on Twitter, and they have links to their org page. So again, if you can donate a couple dollars, do that. And then the other thing that we posted, I think the other day on Twitter, was the band is looking to buy some new drums, and they're trying to do a crowdsourcing of about $10,000 to buy new drum sets. From what I understand from Leighton, those drums that they're using are about 20 to 30 years old, so they could use a good sound. So we want to make sure that power sound, the South, sounds good. So if you got the means of donate a couple dollars their way.
Yeah, they have those
sure.
capital campaigns that NC State's now doing, and they were listed on one of that. Me and Lane actually we did drum. For those who don't know, me and Leighton were on How We Knew Each Other.
Oh, that's right.
We did drumline together. So and I was good friends with the guy with that is now the drumline instructor for NC State, Forrest Budway. So
you should have been plugging that.
Forrest Budway, but
really.
And the drums there, the snares, the bass drums, the tenors, they're all pretty old, so they need some new equipment. I feel like if you look at all of them, the donations, I feel like the fans may like that one the most because it's like, oh yeah, it's cool as drums.
Yeah.
So, but go and donate that.
Yeah, it's part of their game day experience at Carter Finley. So, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the only other thing I would say is, again, like what Greg was saying, we're going to have no new videos this week. So it'll be kind of, I won't say quiet week because you're going to still see us on social media, but definitely go back and check out those sailing videos. We did the interview with the sailing team that Greg kind of mentioned there, but also go back and check out the NIL videos we recorded with Tom Velosi and or Lavosi.
Lavosi, yep.
Lavosi, and then Scott Wood and Tim McKay. Really interesting interview. I think there's a lot of questions people have about what the heck is an NC State collective? What's that going to look like? The NIL stuff. How are we navigating that? From what it sounds like, guys, it sounds like they're doing it the right way. It really does sound like they're doing it. They're kind of like, all right, you guys jump first and let's see what happens approach.
Yeah.
And taking is really wise, taking what everybody else does well and trying to apply that, and what they has not gone well and avoid it. So go check out those guys and even support the players. I saw like Isaiah Moore and
Jada Boyd just jumped on there.
Boyd joined on the NIL. So
I think they got 10 athletes now, 8 or 10. I don't remember the exact
something
number.
like that. But yeah, go and follow those guys. Support them. It's something in addition to the Wolfpack Club. So, I mean, guys, to be honest with you, NIL, if we're not doing the NIL stuff, if we don't take it seriously as fans, which I could get on a whole soapbox about buying tickets and all that, but this is the year you need to start donating for those kind of things, because we're not doing NIL. NC State's going to become less and less relevant. The schools that don't do NIL will become very, very quickly irrelevant. So it's just the way it's going to be. I hate for that to be the case, but that's the way it's going to be. Those
are facts. Those are facts.
So, but yeah, go check out the sailing videos, the NIL videos, and subscribe to our newsletter. Again, tuffytalk.substack.com. Michael does a great job with those. A one-stop source for all your NC State athletics updates. And yeah, guys, we really appreciate y'all's time. Again, please be sure to subscribe, share the videos, let everybody know this is a great place for fans to come in and interact. Obviously, we try to get y'all's comments involved here. But hope y'all are having a great week and have a good week ahead of y'all. And we will talk to y'all later. As always, go Pack, guys.